I was 19 when it happened. My best friend Jason and I were driving back from a late-night concert in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was one of those long, empty stretches of highway where the desert feels endless, and the only lights are your own headlights reflecting off the asphalt. We were maybe an hour outside the city, somewhere along Highway 550, when Jason pointed at the sky. "Dude, what is that?" At first I thought it was a plane. Just 3 bright lights in a triangular shape, hovering low above the desert. But it wasn't moving the way a plane should. It was still, completely still. The lights pulsed faintly, like they were breathing. For a minute, neither of us said a word. The desert around us was dead quiet. No other cars, no wind, nothing. Then, one of the lights broke away. It shot across the horizon in an instant, like it teleported. A split second later, it reappeared right above us. Jason slammed on the brakes, and the car skidded to a stop in the middle of the empty road. I swear to God, the light was hovering no more than 100 feet above the car. It was silent, no engine, no rumble, nothing. Just this massive, glowing orb hanging in the sky. "Get out," Jason whispered. I shook my head and said, "No way." Before I could argue, the car's radio cut out. Static filled the speakers, loud and violent. The headlights flickered, the engine died. Then, the light began to lower slowly, almost deliberately, as if it was inspecting us. The entire interior of the car glowed white. Every detail of Jason's terrified face burned into my memory. And then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it was gone. The light shot upward, disappearing into the stars so fast it was like it had never been there. The car roared back to life, the radio playing again, headlights steady. We didn't speak for the rest of the drive. To this day, Jason refuses to talk about it. And me? Every time I drive that stretch of highway at night, I can't help but look at the sky, wondering if it's still up there, watching. In the summer of 2012, my family rented a cabin near Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri. It was supposed to be a peaceful getaway, fishing, barbecues, nights by the campfire. But on the second night, something happened that none of us can explain. It was around midnight. My cousin Sarah and I were sitting on the cabin's back deck, just talking and watching the water. The lake was calm, the only sounds were crickets and the occasional splash of a fish. Then Sarah stopped mid-sentence. She was staring across the lake. "Do you see that?" At first I thought it was a boat light, but it wasn't on the water, it was above it. A glowing sphere, maybe the size of a car, drifting silently over the lake's surface. We ran inside, calling for my Uncle Mark. He came out onto the deck with us, rubbing his eyes, clearly annoyed. But the second he saw it, his face went pale. The light hovered, moving back and forth like it was searching. Then it split into 3 smaller orbs that began darting across the lake in impossible patterns, zigzagging faster than anything human-made could move. Suddenly, every dog in the area started barking. You could hear them echoing from cabins and houses all around the water. Uncle Mark whispered, "Get inside, now." We watched from the cabin's window as the orbs drew closer. One of them stopped directly above our cabin. The room filled with a low, vibrating hum. The walls seemed to tremble. And then all 3 lights shot upward into the sky and vanished in an instant. The hum stopped. The night went silent. The next morning, my uncle refused to talk about it. He just said we shouldn't bring it up again. But later that day, when we went fishing, I noticed something on the shoreline where the lights had hovered. The grass was singed, burned into a perfect circle. I used to work the night shift at a warehouse in Rockford, Illinois. It was boring, lonely work, just me, a few co-workers, and the endless sound of forklifts and conveyor belts. One night, around 3 a.m., I stepped outside for a smoke break. The air was cool, the sky clear. That's when I saw it. Above the tree line, maybe 100 yards away, was a massive, disc-shaped craft. I know how that sounds, but there's no other way to describe it. A perfect, metallic disc, ringed with pulsating lights. At first, I thought it might be some kind of aircraft from the nearby airport, but it wasn't moving, it was just hovering. I shouted for my coworker Dan, who came outside and froze the second he saw it. "Holy crap, are you seeing this too?" he stammered. We both stood there, jaws hanging open. as the lights rotated slowly around the craft. Then, with a deep, resonant hum, it began to drift closer, toward the warehouse. The closer it came, the more the air seemed to thicken, like pressure building before a storm. I felt the hair on my arm stand on end. Dan grabbed my arm and whispered, "We should go inside." But before we could move, the craft stopped above the loading dock. For maybe 20 seconds, it just hovered there, silent and massive. And then, a beam of white light shot down, flooding the concrete in front of us. Everything inside the beam glowed unnaturally bright, like it wasn't just light, but heat, energy, something alive. And then, as quickly as it appeared, the beam retracted. The craft tilted slightly, then shot off into the night sky at a speed no human aircraft could match. Dan and I stood there trembling until our supervisor came outside looking irritated. "Why are you two just standing there?" he barked. But when we pointed to the sky, there was nothing, just stars. Dan still refuses to talk about it. As for me, I quit that job 2 weeks later. Every time I think about that night, I can't shake the feeling that whatever was inside that craft wasn't just passing by. It saw us.